Hello YouTube, and welcome to a video about the D&D OGL. I'll be reading a post by u/superfunpop originally posted on the D&D subreddit. The post gained quite a bit of popularity, so I expect that if you're active on the D&D subreddit, you've likely seen this already. But it's important to me, so I'm making a video anyway. Let me preface this by saying that I know pretty much nothing about business or legal things. However, this isn't my story, I'm just spreading the word. Many people, such as my dad, greatly prefer to listen to things rather than visually read them, so I'm making this video for two reasons. One, convenience, so you can listen to the post rather than sit down and read it, and two, and much more importantly, to spread the word. I doubt many people will see this video, if any, but I care about D&D, so I want to add my fuel to the fire, even if I can't do much. That being said, let's get on with the post. Why subs matter, but honor among thieves might matter more. To preface this, I am a investing nerd. The motivations behind Wizards' changes are 100% influenced by Hasbro, and I'll tell you why. Around February 2022, Hasbro, a publicly traded company, was confronted by an activist investor, a owner of 2.5 shares in Hasbro, who was very outspoken and wanting changes. The change this activist investor wanted was to spin off Wizards of the Coast into a second publicly traded company. Without getting too deep into this part, this would mean that Wizards of the Coast would no longer be contributing to the value of Hasbro and would be its own stock. This would most likely lead to Hasbro's stock becoming discounted. This is because Wizards of the Coast may make up roughly 70% of Hasbro's value. That is a direct quote from the activist investor, not my opinion. I added the word may because it is the opinion of said investor. Hasbro had a public fight for control with this activist investor around June 2022, which Hasbro won. This means Wizards is still owned by Hasbro, but this had a big consequence. Before 22, Hasbro shareholders had no idea what Wizards of the Coast, D&D, or Magic the Gathering was. Shareholders only knew about Transformers, Monopoly, and Peppa Pig. They thought Hasbro's money came from toys, TV, and movies. But all that changed in January 2022. Wizards of the Coast was on the front page of every financial news source around, including the Wall Street Journal. Then, a few months later, it came out that Wizards may be 70% of Hasbro's value. Now every single stock meeting Hasbro has is about Wizards, it's about D&D, and it's about Magic the Gathering. Enter Honor Among Thieves. Honor Among Thieves has been a center point to every Hasbro shareholder meeting since day one of this activist investor battle. Hasbro had to argue that they were the right people to lead Wizards of the Coast, and they did that by hyping up Honor Among Thieves and their history with bringing original IPs to Hollywood. These shareholders don't know what a 20-sided dice is, they don't know what mana costs are, and the only wizard in pop culture they could name is Merlin. They can't wrap their heads around it. These investors do know movies. They know the Transformers series has been a giant cash cow for Hasbro. They've made tons of money off the Transformers movies, and they're hyped for Honor Among Thieves. All they know is that Wizards made $1 billion in 2021, and that was before Hollywood. Honor Among Thieves might have been one of the only reasons Hasbro didn't lose the battle against the activist investors. D&D Beyond subscriptions. Subs have been a great tool to show how serious we are about protecting the OGL, protecting our community, and protecting third-party creators. It is not the only tool. Shareholders know what D&D Beyond is, and they know what subscription services are, so we already speaking their language, and it's enough to scare Hasbro a little. Hasbro has to prove to its shareholders that it continues to make Wizards of the Coast profitable. If it can't prove it, the activist investors come back and talk of spin-off comes back. Wizards still can become its own company that is no longer associated with Hasbro. There are still investors who want that. If Hasbro can't deliver with Honor Among Thieves, it's going to look very bad. Shareholders are going to be pissed off. Hasbro has been telling shareholders for a year that Wizards cannot operate on their own, and that the only reason Wizards is making money is because Hasbro is overseeing it. Hasbro has had to put their money where their mouth is and dig into the trenches with Wizards to prove that they're valuable. Otherwise, shareholders can force Hasbro to spin off from Wizards. This is why we need to boycott Honor Among Thieves. We need everyone to talk about boycotting Honor Among Thieves. The entire financial world is watching Wizards of the Coast and Hasbro right now. They are watching this unfold because it is serious business to investors. If investors wake up to read their morning paper and see in the financial section that there is a boycott against Honor Among Thieves, Hasbro will have zero choice but to bend the knee, not to us consumers, but to the shareholders. Hasbro needs shareholder support, or Hasbro loses Wizards. Hasbro will bend over backwards to answer their shareholders, and if their shareholders tell them to stop messing with the OGL, they will stop. Shareholders will put pressure on Hasbro for us, and currently Hasbro is very sensitive to the needs of shareholders because they need to keep the majority happy to remain in control. And that will happen if enough shareholders are scared that we will boycott Honor Among Thieves. TLDR, Hasbro really needs Honor Among Thieves to work out for them, more so than subscriptions to D&D Beyond, and they'll be forced by shareholders to stop messing with the OGL to make sure that the movie has a good release. Edit 1 is just OP correcting spelling mistakes. Edit 2, I have added sources for a few things. Just so everyone is aware, most of this is a summary of publicly available information and is not my opinions. Therefore, I cannot argue some of the information I cite as it didn't originate with me. What is my opinion is the impact boycotting Honor Among Thieves will have on our fight to protect third-party creators and the OGL. Edit 3. Speaking about boycotting the movie matters in this case as much as the boycott. My whole point is that shareholders care about this particular topic for the reasons I laid out, and it can be, in this case, influential in getting Wizards to back down from their OGL position completely. If shareholders read about a potential boycott, not even an active boycott, but the potential for one, they will be asking for answers from Hasbro. Hasbro is very sensitive right now to their shareholders because of what I have laid out above. Monday morning, we are going to see more mainstream articles about the OGL issue, and it will come to be picked up in financial news sites. If shareholders read those news sites and read the words Honor Among Thieves boycott, they are going to freak out and contact Hasbro, and it will increase pressure. Just like the subscriptions, this is another leverage point. Hasbro has primed their shareholders to be interested specifically in a successful outcome for Honor Among Thieves at the box office. Edit 4. You/The Realm Scribe, thank you for sharing this video. This has some very good insight as to what I am speaking about, and it does it better than I do. It starts at 1 hour, 12 minutes, and 30 seconds. And he then links a YouTube video, which I will link in the description. If we make Honor Among Thieves boycott trending, it will cause shareholders to put pressure on Hasbro now, not months from now when the movie is released. It'll happen this week. If we can get financial news sites which are already talking about the Wizards OGL issue to also include a potential boycott of the movie, it will make shareholders care. Edit 5. Thank you to all who have mentioned supporting this idea. Please keep commenting and upvoting and sharing this to build traction. We need to talk about this, not just in this post, but in other posts on other platforms. This message needs to spread that this is a tactic that will work. Just like everyone was tipped off that subs are a metric they were closely looking at, this is an opportunity to put pressure on Hasbro and Wizards to back off of the changes to the OGL. The only way that works is if conversations about boycotting Honor Among Thieves continue to grow. Hasbro is very sensitive to the opinions of shareholders, and shareholders care about this movie because Hasbro has made them care. They don't know what an OGL is, but they know what a boycott is. And of course, spreading this on other platforms and things, and spreading the word as much as possible, is the biggest reason why I am making this video. Edit 6. I guess I have to make one more edit because this keeps coming up. I do not think there is any scenario that a Wizards spin-off will occur. I am also not advocating for a spin-off. I only mentioned the spin-off to summarize why Hasbro is very sensitive to the opinions of shareholders currently. Hasbro did a good job of fending the spin-off off, the cat's out of the bag on how much revenue Wizards makes, and Hasbro just has to prove that they should remain in the driver's seat. This is the main reason why a boycott will cause pressure. If a boycott builds traction and is picked up by news sources as part of the conversation, shareholders will read about it and they will have questions. It means that they'll be emailing and calling the Investor Center for Hasbro, and Hasbro will have to respond. The hopeful scenario is that Hasbro is forced to drop all changes to the OGL to get shareholders off their back. No OGL changes equals no boycott equals no investors calling with questions. Edit 7. This is the last update for me for some time. I stayed up irresponsibly too late/early, but it was a lot of fun. I honestly wrote this because I was passionate that two of my interests collided in a way that I felt I could share and maybe be helpful, and the response has been many times more than what I thought. Same here. I love D&D, and I love making videos. If you agree or not, I am glad we are all here talking about the future of the game. The thing that Wizards got most wrong was that they said it's their job to be good stewards of the game. It's all of our jobs. It's always been all of our jobs. Every DM is a steward of the game to their players. Every veteran is a steward to a new player. And every creator is a steward to all of us. D&D is cool, not because Wizards prints some dumb books, but because we all took it upon ourselves to be a collective and create this cool thing together. To be honest, I'm not sure why I wrote all that. I should have gone to sleep 10 hours ago. If you thought it was cool, though, then I totally meant to write it. But if it was weird, then I was just tired. Let's go with that. Yeah, I barely got any sleep last night, I can relate. I actually really wanted to see the D&D movie. I didn't have super high expectations for it, but I was hoping it would be somewhat good, and I was kind of excited. However, I care much more about the OGL than I do about watching the movie, so hence this video. Well, that's all from me. If you did enjoy, leaving a like is just one click away, and I will see you next time.